Good evening. My name is Heidi Cano, and I will be discussing the very well-known and discussed topic of Disney buying Fox. As we all know, Disney acquired 21st Century Fox for $71.3 billion. The negotiation was that Disney was not interested in Fox's production capacity, but more for the collection of films and television that would help expand Disney's streaming service, which would eventually be called Disney Plus, which just got released this month. Disney also wanted the rights to the Marvel franchise, which included X-Men and Fantastic Four, as well as the distribution rights to the Star Wars Episode 4, A New Hope. All 21st Century Fox wanted was to keep the rights for their news channels and their sports channels. And this was because they wanted to do some rearranging to their programming, and that was their primary interest. As we all know, Disney owned the rights to Marvel, as well as Marvel Studios and Lucasfilms. Fox had the rights to some of the Marvel characters like Fantastic Four and X-Men. Now, even though Fox wanted to keep the news, sports, and make changes to their programming, they were also having a bidding war with Comcast, Verizon, and Sony, which also wanted what Disney wanted, and that was control of the film and television library that Fox held, as well as, of course, Disney's interest, like I said before, in the Star Wars episodes, as well as some of the Marvel characters. Some of the concepts that we covered in this course as far as negotiation that were used during this was first the mutual benefits to this merger. Of course, Disney wanted the rights, specific contents, and Fox wanted to streamline their networks. This technique has always proven to be beneficial for both parties in most cases, especially when the result is that everyone gets what they want. They both had a very clear understanding of what they wanted, and they were not going to give in until they got what they wanted. The second technique was appreciation and respect. The CEOs, who both are ahead of super large companies, were very appreciative of each other in regards to the mutual respect they had for the position and success they each had in the individual business. Mr. Iger being a man who has overseen one of the most powerful media conglomerates, and Mr. Murdoch, who is very well known and has a very good reputation for acquiring assets more than selling them. Another concept, or I should say the third concept, is that they both use their positions of power to keep the negotiations not only private, but also moving forward. Even though it did start a bidding war with other companies, the agreements that were happening or the negotiations that were happening between Disney and Fox were always kept private. Both CEOs knew each other well and had normal conversations during dinner in which they discussed and kind of slid in their interest as far as the merger and what they expected out of this merger. Even though these talks have been going on for quite a while, at the end they both knew what they wanted. They both respected each other, and they both knew that they were not going to be easy to negotiate with each other. So they did research on each other, aside from the fact that they knew each other well, in order to carry these negotiations and at the end of the day get what each one wanted. I think the negotiation between the two went extremely well. Both executives were very ready to make this deal based on their interest and, of course, a positive outcome for both of their companies. Actually, the CEO of Disney, Mr. Iger, was extended his contract up to 2021. Mr. Iger has been actually trying to retire since 2015, but with this huge merger, it seems like his retirement has now been extended even more. After months of negotiations, both companies negotiated their deal, negotiated what they wanted. They clearly stated what they wanted. Money was never really a big issue until the bidding war started, but even that was handled well by both parties because it was kept private and nothing was ever discussed when it came to the other companies. The only thing that I do think went wrong was that information was leaked about the negotiations in 2017, which put a stall to some of this because once again the bidding war became even stronger. Money was offered by a lot of companies like Comcast, even Sony was interested in this deal. And that kind of put Fox in a bind where to decide who would be the best offer. But at the end, he knew that this would only split the company, and it was in his best interest to go with Disney, which already had partial ownership of it anyway. Sealing the deal was also going to take 18 months, and that's because, of course, they had to follow rules and regulations. And that, I think, is also something that went wrong, because after them discussing it for such a long time, now having to wait 18 months to actually seal the deal, it could have left them open for just about anything. Another thing that I think went well as well was that they never discussed what was going to happen to the Disney employees, what was going to happen to the Fox employees. When this merger happened, unfortunately, a lot of the Disney employees would be losing their jobs. And I don't think that this was something that was considered in the negotiations as far as protecting the people that have been loyal to them. I think they could have expanded in that and made an agreement to where they could have kept their jobs and maybe been cross-trained. I just think that would be something that would have been important to both companies to consider. Was the agreement reached? Yes. At the end of the day, Disney got full control of Marvel and the streaming services and has now released Disney Plus, which we all love. And Fox kept control of the news and sports podcasting. Disney has already acquired major properties by buying Pixar, Marvel, and Lucasfilms, and 21st Century Fox only adds to the list of franchises that now are owned by Disney. As we can see also, 21st Century Fox has its own acquisitions, which includes a lot of sports and news channels as well as KTV. They were very interested in that because, once again, they're more concerned with restreaming or restructuring their news and sports channels as opposed to their library of films and television. At the end of the day, yes, Disney buys Fox. The agreement reached at $71.3 billion, which of course outbid any of the other people that were involved. This agreement is not only a great agreement, but it's going to foster a long-term meaningful relationship, considering the profit share deal between both parties and that the interests were met. The relationship was already strong, but I think this merger is just going to make it even stronger. And I think we can expect a lot for these upcoming years from Disney and Fox in their individual markets. Of course, Fox is now a standalone company that will continue to retain the ownership of its broadcast network. This, of course, includes Fox News Channel, Fox Business Network, and Fox Sports, which we all know Fox Sports is a huge thing. And Disney, of course, now has consolidated the holdings by bringing together the talented leaders in both television and movie production, and includes major cable properties and vast networks of local sport channels that fold all into the Disney ESPN programming. As you can see, this is one of the best mergers that could have ever happened, and it's been a long time coming. The negotiations, even though they were kept very silent, they were very intense, but I think they were handled very professionally. I hope you enjoyed my presentation as much as I enjoyed doing it, and I sure did learn a lot about negotiations between large companies. Thank you so much for listening, and you have a wonderful evening.